So when I'm thinking about rounding numbers, my first job is to pay attention to what place value the question is asking me to round to. This one, for example, is asking me to round to the hundreds place. So the first thing I'm going to do with my number 423 is think about which digit is in the hundreds place. And I'm going to underline it, the 4. The 4 is worth 400. And then I'm going to, step 2 is I'm going to stop and I'm going to think, what are the two numbers that I could round to? I could either round down to 400 or up to 500. And since I'm rounding to the hundreds place, my numbers are going to simply look like hundreds. My next job is going to be to go next door to the bossy neighbor and take a look. He's a 2. And then all I've got to do is follow my roller coaster. Which side of the roller coaster does the 2 fall on? It falls over here. So I know I'm going to end up rounding 423 to 400. But let's try a different number. 819. Well, again, it's asking me to round to the hundreds place, so I'm going to underline the 8. I'm going to think about the hundreds options that I have. It's either going to be 800 or 900. I go next door to the bossy neighbor and I check it out. It's a 1. I know it falls on this side of the roller coaster, so it's going to round to be 800. Next, I'm going to take a look at this problem. It's asking me to round to the nearest 1,000. So I know it's asking me to round to the nearest 1,000. I'm going to underline the digit in the thousands place. I'm going to stop and think, what are my options? I can either round to 3,000 or I can round up to 4,000. I go next door to the bossy neighbor. I check him out. He's a 4. I know he falls on this side of the roller coaster, so he's going to round to be 3,000. Since it's asking me to round to the nearest 10,000, I'm going to go to the 10,000s place and underline it. I'm going to think, what are my options? It's either going to be 10,000 or it's going to be 20,000. Then I go next door, I check out the bossy neighbor. That 2 is telling me I'm going to slide back down, and my answer is it rounds to 10,000. But what if I need to round to the nearest 10? If I'm rounding to the nearest 10, I'm going to underline the digit in the tens place. And then I have to stop and think, what can I round to? Here's the tricky part. What I'm thinking about is the 4. So it could either round to 40 or 50, but that 9 doesn't go away. It stays with the number. So it's either going to be 940 or 950. I go next door to the bossy neighbor. That 3 is going to tell me I'm going to slide to 940. I can still round to the nearest 10 even though I'm working in the thousands now. I'm going to think round to the nearest 10. I'm going to underline the digit in the tens place. I'm going to stop and think, what can it round to? It's either going to round to 70 or 80, but those other digits that come before it don't go away. So I've got to keep that 1,470 or 1,480. Then I go next door to the bossy neighbor. I check it out. It's an 8. It's going to slide this way down the roller coaster, and it will round to 1,480. I could keep going and do this with numbers with the 10,000s, the 100,000s, even the millions, because I know that I'm underlining the digit that's in the place value that they're asking me for, and everything to the left of that digit stays the same. It doesn't go away.